This podcast is brought to you by IWI. IWI has been knocking it out of the park lately with new products. Just this year, I've gotten the opportunity to try out the Masada Tactical and Masada Slim pistols, both in 9mm and both optics ready. The Zion pistol, which is their AR-15 pattern model, and the Gen 2 Galil Ace in 7.62 by 39. From first round hits at 500 yards from a 12.5-inch barrel in the Zion to summer carry with the Masada Slim, I'm freaking impressed. I can't get over how many changes and upgrades IWI has made from the first gen to the second gen Galil Ace. Most notably, it now has a free float handguard. IWI supports the shooting sports at a massive level, and they support the podcast. Next time you need a new blaster, I highly recommend IWI. This episode of the Three Gun Show is brought to you by IsoTune Sport, the next generation of hearing protection. I love their Ear Pro. I wear the Advance or the Caliber models when I'm shooting, which are in-ear, and I wear the Defy muffs when other people are shooting, like rifles. If I'm standing to the side, there's a muzzle brake or something like that. All of those models have their tactical sound control technology, which allows you to hear range commands and what's going on around you, but suppress gunshots. And one feature I had no idea I'd use so much is Bluetooth. I can be a little set in my ways, so I didn't think I needed Bluetooth in my Ear Pro. But with IsoTune Sport, you can actually listen to music or a podcast and hear what is going on around you so you're not taken by surprise. Because of that, the Advance not only go with me to the range, but they have become my go-tos for the gym and walking around my neighborhood. They've lasted countless 30-minute sessions in 134-degree heat in the sauna, and they're still kicking. My hearing is important to me, and yours should be important to you too. Thanks to IsoTune Sport for supporting the shooting sports and sponsoring the show. Be sure to check them out to upgrade your Ear Pro. Welcome to the Three Gun Show. I'm your host, Dave Hartman. This week, I have second place open division competitor at the Sons of Liberty Gunworks Carbine Series match, Jay Christiansen, on the podcast. We hit the ground running in this show as Jay and I were talking a bit about the scores from the match, and I thought the behind-the-scenes math that he was doing on his performance would be interesting for you. So I hit the record button mid-conversation, and we catch it up from there. Thanks for tuning into the show this week. This episode comes out Thanksgiving week, so I want you to know that I'm thankful that you listen to this podcast each week. It really does mean a lot to me. Hey, do me a favor. If you're not subscribed to the show already, subscribe in Apple Podcasts or whatever app you use and leave a review on the platform. Subscribers and reviews are what tell the algorithms over at Apple to surface the show to other people. So it really does help me out when you do it, and it only takes a minute. And I read every review, and I greatly appreciate you taking the few minutes to write it. Last thing before we go, there will be video of this podcast on YouTube. So if you hear Jay and I talking about something, I do a little screen share, and you can see the visuals there. So if you're a visual person, you can check it out on YouTube. Just search for Three Gun Show. And now please enjoy this podcast with Jay Christiansen.
Yeah, I mean, you can include that if you want. It doesn't matter. But yeah, 37 was right, actually.
We're recording now.
Yeah. So he was thinking 37 was actually Nikki's time because they shot that stage like Saturday morning before everybody else started shooting.
So
they didn't finish on Friday.
To recap what we were talking about before I hit the record button. So Justin Morris, stage 12.
Yes.
He's got a time of 37:33 in here, and you said it was 18. Is that right?
18 and change.
Jeez. So
like 18:37 or something.
Oops. So even though he won by much, much more.
Well, I mean, a few more. Yeah. It wouldn't change it too much because that stage, actually I believe Larson had the win at like 16 and change.
Okay.
And so the stage would have been worth 16 points max.
Yeah, he's got like a 43.50 on here though. So he would have had like a I mean, I don't even know, like a 90s or 80s or something like that.
Yeah, so like 16 divided by 18 would have been 88%. And
Crazy.
88% of 18, was it 16 points? Would have been 14, so he would have had another 7 points.
Got it. I don't know.
So
I don't know what
X
window
up
I got
his
it.
name.
Oh, there we go.
Just hit X over there. So if he'd added 7 more points, he'd have won by 11 points instead of 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not that huge of a deal, but still a deal. Like if it's super close, like you should pay attention to that stuff, right?
Yeah. So, but even, yeah, I mean, like we were pretty close. I mean, we were 3 seconds off in raw and ended up 1 second off in final time after penalties. And he actually was 1 second slower technically in total time. But points, UML points wise, obviously that changes things. And, a 5-point gap in UML scoring could be be a bigger gap in regular 100-point stage scoring.
Gotcha.
Just depending.
So if he won by 1 second after penalties, so he would have won by what, 15 seconds after penalties?
Yeah, that's about right.
Oh, okay.
No, but he was 37, his was 18, so yeah, 20 more, so 21.
Yeah, so that's pretty significant.
Yeah. Well, and he all that time was on the long range stage. He shot it in 29. I was second place at 46. As you can imagine, Justin Morris on a long range rifle stage.
Yeah, so I can imagine, but let's you mentioned earlier before I hit the record button, they call him the ghost of 3-gun because nobody expects him to do anything and he just annihilates people. Has like no social media presence, pretty low key dude, and just crushes and has for like a decade.
Yeah, you don't see him until he's on the podium.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty incredible.
Yep.
Should we call or should we mention what Justin's been doing slowly over the years in Texas 3-gun?
Oh, accruing his collection of buckles.
Yeah. So Justin, he's probably going to be, well, he doesn't listen to the podcast. I don't know if he listens to podcasts. So he's been, they have the belt buckle for first place and belt buckle for high Texan, right? In each division. And so Justin has won, TAC Ops. Mm-hmm. I believe he's won Open. Is that right?
I don't think he's won Open. Or you know what? I think he did. I think he did maybe last year.
I think last year he won Open, and then this year he got second place in 2x4. Has he won? He's won heavy optics. I know that.
Yes. Has
he won limited?
No, he hasn't done limited yet.
Okay, so he hasn't done limited, and he hasn't won 2x4. Like Josh held him off in 2x4. But yeah, so silently, sorry to shine a light on it, but not really. Silently, he's been just going down the line and destroying worlds with this quest to win all the belt buckles. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's, if not the coolest, definitely one of the coolest trophies there are out there.
Yeah, and it shows a ton of range to be able to do that in multiple different divisions too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you can look up last year if you want, but yeah, so this year for 2x4, second place, 6% behind Freilich, so wasn't able to pull it off there. But he did get High Texan for that division, right?
Yes, yeah, High Texan and a second place buckle.
Mm-hmm.
But got to get that first place.
Yeah, yeah. This is one of those obsessive personalities, so first place certainly isn't going to cut it, right? Or excuse me, second place certainly isn't going to cut it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, last year he won. Yes, last year he won Open.
Last year he did. Okay, so last year he did win Open, and then I think the year before that was TAC. I don't know.
20.
Doing the research on the show makes for really compelling listening, I bet.
So he shot Open also last year.
Oh, okay.
So I know he won. Yeah, he was third in Open last year. 2020, I'm sorry.
Oh, third in Open in 2020. Okay, so then took him a year to knock it down. Got it.
So I believe Tack, he won the buckles back in like, I don't know, 2015 maybe?
Yeah, was that when it was like the Extreme Bullets match?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was over at Copperhead because I remember, because I think that was my first year shooting that. You know what? I think it was my second year shooting it. So 2016 is when he did that, because I shot heavy that year.
Yeah, I think we were looking this up the other day. Just by the way, this is just what Jay and I randomly do, to get on the phone and start looking at practice score and seeing what people have been doing over the years. So yeah, so here we are doing it on the show. But yeah, so Jay, we're here to talk about the match you just shot, which again, we opened the show with Justin beat you. Unfortunately, you got second place in open division. And this was the Sons of Liberty Gunworks Carbine Series, which is one match. So I think it's funny they call it a Carbine Series, but whatever.
I think there's plans for more.
Yeah, obviously. But yeah, so this is a 2-day, and I think there's 12 stages, and it's just a carbine match, rifle. They have different divisions here that encompass like almost everything in the carbine world. So they have, 22 LR, heavy metal, limited open, PCC, and TAC ops.
Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah, so that was at the Ranch TX over there in kind of around the Eagle Lake, Texas area. Mm-hmm. Mostly, well, I say mostly, probably half and half bay versus terrain. There was I guess it'd be technically 2 jungle runs, and then the others were either in bays or new areas that they picked out that were just kind of a straight shot down a dirt path, not really jungle run. Some 360 bay stuff, a shoot house, and then a long range shooting off their connexes back on their long range area.
Nice. And so you have a history of this match. Has been going for 3 years now. So you've shot it all the years,
yes.
I believe.
Yeah,
got it. And you've done pretty good in the past.
Yeah, I was defending champ this year
in open division.
In open, yeah.
Did you shoot TAC the first year? Or have you always shot open?
I thought there was only 2 years, to be honest.
Am I mistaken on that? I thought there was 3. Oh no, you know what? There is 3 because Tilke had a picture with 3 trophies.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's why I was confused.
Got it. So, all right. So Ranch TX, full carbine match. So, question. You mentioned the long range stage earlier. Is there a lot of opportunities for long range at the ranch, or is there just that one area that's on the back side of the range?
Yeah, it's just the one area.
So basically one long range stage?
Well, sometimes they put 2 out there because they do have 2 connexes that are built up. So like you're shooting off the top of connex boxes.
Same impact zone.
Yeah, it's technically it's same impact zone, yeah. They technically have like 2 lanes of berms. One lane shoots off of one connex and the other lane shoots off the other. The shorter one goes out to, I think it's 4 or 5, and then the longer one goes to like 1100.
Got it.
But essentially, yes, you're shooting in the exact same area.
So what kind of distance did they do on this match?
So we went to 500 on the long range stage here.
Okay. And then, like I said, just one long range stage. Is that right?
Yes. Just one long range.
So so I think like having like a carbine match, it's like a one gun kind of thing, is really cool. Unfortunately, this is like a little bit outside of driving distance for me. Yeah. Currently, but the concept I think is really cool, and I think PCSL is doing some cool stuff in St. George, which ironically is almost the same distance away from me. Like both of these are in some sort of weird triangle that's the exact same driving distance away, but yeah, like the one gun option, I think, the one gun format I think is really cool. It does make it an easier match to justify flying to as well, because you don't have to bring like 3 guns and 3 sets of gear and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. For me, it's only an hour away, so anything at that location, I'm obviously gonna be there.
Yeah.
um, it's funny you brought up the multiple gun thing though, because it is URL rules. So I personally brought 3 rifles with me just in case.
Well, you had joked about bringing a 6.5 Creedmoor too, because it's in the rules, and I haven't read that rifle switching part of it, but
yeah. So to clarify on that, you can't do a caliber change.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought, but then you kind of had me questioning myself.
I did too, but yeah, it was clarified. You cannot do a caliber change, but you can change. You can swap out rifles all you want as long as they fit in your division.
Right. So you brought the proverbial golf bag full of rifles.
Yep.
Well,
exactly.
So tell us real quick about the rifles you brought, and then kind of describe what the I guess the open division format of the rifle that you ended up shooting was.
So I actually ended up shooting 2 rifles through the match. But
oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. But I ended up settling on. I shot 1 rifle for 2 stages, and the rest with the other rifles. So I brought my normal 3-gun build that I had for this year, which was just an 18-inch, an 18-inch rifle that had all my Tony System furniture on it, and had a Razor 1-10 with an offset razor as well. And so I also brought what the other rifle I have built for tactical games, which is just a 16-inch. It has a proof carbon barrel in it, and just a Viper 1-6 on it. And the only difference where I changed it from Tech Games configuration was I just put a VG6 brake on it instead of the flash hider. So what I ended up doing, I shot at the first stage because it was a shoot house, so I wanted to use my lighter, quicker, shorter rifle. So I did that, and then the next stage we shot was long range, so I took my 3-gun rifle up there and shot it. I believe I shot the next 2 stages I shot with my Tech Games rifle again, just because there was a lot of movement and it was lighter. And then I shot 1 more stage with the 3-gun rifle and decided I was shooting the little one better, so I shot it the rest of the match. Just in case, I also had my 12.5-inch Zion with a Spitfire. Nice. I didn't need that one for anything, but
so
yeah.
It seems so strange to swap rifles based on the stage, just because typically like that's like verboten in 3-gun. How was it? What'd you think?
So I mean, to be honest, it's kind of silly. I should have just run the 16-inch the whole match,
even on long range.
Yeah, even on long range, because I've got it dialed in for long range dope, and it shoots good at long range as well. And just for whatever reason, after I shot a couple stages with it, I was shooting it better, faster. It was just the right tool for the job on this one. So I just should have shot it the whole time.
Yeah, it's one of those things like you think like, well, I'm gonna game this. There's this opportunity to game, but then you kind of like focus, or maybe you're this way, maybe not, but kind of focus a little bit too much on like the trickery or the gamey portion rather than like just executing the actual fundamentals with what you know.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, again, I should have just the one rifle would have worked fine for the whole thing. But I was just kind of trying to have fun with it, to be honest. I wouldn't, not that I wasn't taking it seriously, but not taking it too seriously. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to bring 3 guns and I'm going to use them all.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, it's like, yeah, it is more to manage and more, it's kind of a gimmick, but on the other hand, it's like, kind of fun anyway.
Yeah,
might as
exactly.
well.
Just having a good time. But just sometimes just because you can doesn't mean you should.
I think that's a solid lesson on that right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me more about the stages. Like you mentioned a shoot house, like kind of describe what the layout of the range and what kind of stages they had there.
Excuse me. So the layout of the range, they've got, when you come in the entrance, you drive past a couple of roads that kind of shoot off the main road. That one, the first road you turn on, that takes you back to the long range connexes. if you keep going further in the second road, you turn on that. There's a big, wide, tack bay. You go into the back there. There's a 360 bay, and then a couple of areas that they carved out for this match next to that. Then as you go in further, there's another big bay that they were using for the zero bay. And you go walk behind there, the jungle run areas, and then keep going. There's just regular bays set up in there. There's another 360, another couple wide bays, and a couple smaller ones. So the shoot house stage was basically, you walk in the doorway, there was a hall sort of straight, and then there was 3 rooms off to the left side of that hallway. You started off shooting a couple of steel that are I think they're usually about 80 yards out there, out one window. You got hoser paper in the left 3 rooms on your way up to the last window.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got 4 more steel in there from about 50 to 70, I believe those were. So just a fast little burner stage. They put a couple of no shoots up in the rooms between the papers just to keep you honest.
Mess with your offset.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So the when you hear like, okay, well, there's one long range stage, kind of you just think like, oh, it's just a burner match. But then you mentioned 80-yard steels, so there are some other skills involved other than just hose and paper, right? Yeah, definitely. So they make up for lack of long range stages by increasing difficulty on some of the targets. Okay.
So I don't know if you ever shot any of these double T-post hanging targets before or not.
Oh, yeah.
So you got one T-post, there's a T-shaped bracket on top, and there's a target hanging on each end. So they'll put a small round one and a small diamond-shaped one. And when you shoot one, the other one starts flapping around everywhere.
Yep.
So that doesn't help. And those, they'll use those targets anywhere from, minimum safe distance, 40 yards or so, out to 70, 80 yards sometimes. They've also got these little lollipop targets they like to use that are just a real thin strip, about 2 inches wide, with a round 3-inch circle on the top of it. This match we shot those through a barricade, and the barricade's got, I think, about 7 holes through it. Well, you had to shoot those through the holes, one target through a hole, then go to the next hole, shoot another target, and just kind of work your way through. Well, that one ended with a spinner, or not ended, but there was a spinner on that stage. So you got slant ports and one square, and then another slant, a couple horizontal ports. And so it was kind of fun watching everybody try to figure out how to go through that. And I worked through it just the easiest spot to shoot out of. I shot the smallest target. The next easiest spot, I shot the other small target. I just worked my way up in size through the difficulty of the ports. So the hardest port, I shot the biggest plate, which was one of the horizontals.
Are you shooting like a VTAC barricade?
Yes.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. And so then I ended up with the spinner through the bottom horizontal port, where I was basically prone with my rifle horizontal. And people kind of questioned why I did that. Well, 1, I'm prone. 2, the spinner is the biggest plates that I'm shooting on the stage. Even though I'm shooting it horizontal, just hold on the edge, mag side, and I was fine.
Right.
Now, I did whiff a couple, but that had nothing to do with position or offset. That was just,
that's you, huh?
For a second. So, there was one other stage that we did barricade. We had double barricades. They were, small end to small end like that. And in the back of the bay, there was like a C zone, 2 C zones, one on each side. So you had to go through one of the barricades. You had to shoot it. Was it 6 times? I believe it was 6. So you shot it, through every port on that barricade, then move to the other barricade, shoot the other plate through every port on that barricade.
Gotcha. And so there's 181 people at this match, and going down the, I guess the, what am I trying to say? The scores, when I was doing the scores, just trying to look at the people that I recognized on there. Obviously, so TAC Ops We got, Taylor Olhausen won it. Tilke was second. Britton Morris is on here. First place open, Justin Morris, Jay Christiansen. And then limited, Aaron Hayes, Eric Weiss. PCC, RJ Breeze. I don't know Ernesto Rodriguez, or maybe I do. Just don't remember. But heavy metal optics, you can see here 22 LR. Of course, the Breezes are on there as well. But if you look down, like there does end up being quite a few names we know, and quite a few names that I either can't recall or don't know. 181 people at the match. So how would you describe the match? Is it like all jersey shooters, or is it a bunch of tack people? Is it a mixture of both? What's the feel like?
It's honestly mostly feels like a bunch of Middle guys. There's the typical group of the Central to South Texas, guys that shoot competition a lot. And then just some, weekend warrior guys too, that, just come out there because they're in Houston and they heard about this rival match from their buddy or something. It's an easy match to get into. It's easy to participate because,
it's
Texas.
only one gun, right?
It's one gun. It's an AR. Everybody in Texas has an AR. So, it's an easy match to participate in for sure.
Yeah, I guess the everybody in Texas has an AR thing really does play into it. Like, I laughed at that, but that really does play into it, right? Because with, like, for example, USPSA or 3-gun, USPSA, you have to have like specialized equipment to fall into a division. 3-gun, same thing. This match, there's like 7 divisions, and pretty much anything will fall somewhere, right? And it's only one gun, and there's not a. I don't want to minimalize it, but it's like just hit the targets. There's not like loading a shotgun or a ton of other things to think about. It's like get a stage plan, shoot the targets. Yep.
Yeah, and I said everybody has an AR. There was a pretty good mix of other configurations too. So
what'd you see?
So we had a couple of AK guys on our squad shooting with us. They were shooting 5.45s.
Nice.
We also had another guy shooting a 308 Galil Ace.
No kidding.
Yeah. And we kept making him go last so he wouldn't bust the targets for the squad. Let him pick targets between squads. Surprisingly, he didn't break anything. And then I heard about there was an FAL.
Sweet.
I know there was some other stuff, and it's escaping me now. Oh, some scars.
That's cool too. Yeah.
Some like the HK. I know they're technically sort of ARs, but they're like the HK 416.
416s, yeah.
But in 308, whatever that one is, I don't know, 516 or something. There were some machine guns, which guys obviously shot select fire or single semi-auto. Full semi-auto.
Was that like mill LE kind of thing? Okay.
Yeah, like duty weapons.
Got it.
Every configuration you can think of, from irons to red dots to 1 to 10s. I think I saw somebody with a 5 to 25.
Oh no shit!
It's a little much for this one.
You did really good on one stage.
Yeah. And they work in the match works in a bunch of, I'd say, tests or typical stuff that we're not usually doing with doing the drop a mag and HVT target kind of thing, and just smaller targets through ports and off different barricades and things.
Right. Well, that's a really good point. So first of all, Jay, who puts on the match?
So it's technically the Sons of Liberty Gun Works.
Right. So that's a sponsor. Do they go and set up stages and design stages and stuff?
The ranch itself is responsible for putting the match on.
Okay.
It is under URL rules currently, and Jeremy Reed was the match director.
Okay. Cool.
And then he had whatever staff he could get to help work the match. So he was essentially building stages. I know he had some help from several people. And from what I understand, I wasn't at Kalash Bash, but some of the stuff was sort of left over from Kalash Bash too.
Okay. Well, another carbine match, right?
Yeah, so. That was just 2 weeks ago. So, I don't fault them for reusing some of the setup,
Yeah, for sure. Well, so the reason I ask is, you can, as I've seen over the years, like matches have like a signature on them by who puts them together. So that's why I was curious. But looking down the times on the stages, like it's pretty interesting to see. Like we don't typically see this, especially in Texas. Like stage 10, you posted up a 1083 on it. Like that's a fairly short stage for Texas, wouldn't you say?
Right. Yeah. So if you also notice, the points were 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a double point stage, as well as, so that was technically stage 10. And then stage 11 below it was also a double point stage.
How does that work?
So it was just worth double points. So
they just declare it double points or something?
Yeah. So it was a standard stage, like stage 10. You start on a table, rifle and mags, load your rifle, shoot a steel, IPSC 6 times, reload, shoot it 6 times.
Okay. So they did get into like gun manipulation and some other stuff that we don't typically do.
Yeah, pretty much just on that one. So that standard stage there, and then like the other ones with the barricades and things, testing your positional shooting, testing canted rifle shooting positions. Of course, people find out their gear is not very well suited for shooting through barricades when they've got their barrel resting on things, or their handguard won't go through, or the flashlight and the laser they've got attached to it won't go through the port, so their flash hider or muzzle brake is blowing plywood off of the walls. There was definitely some barricades that were going to need some remodeling after the match.
Yeah, the flashlight thing. So in 3-gun, I guess like typically in any carbine match, or not any carbine match, but people who shoot them a lot typically run slick, right? Because there's enough shit out there to get your stuff hung up on anyway, rather than just adding another, a flashlight or vertical foregrip or angle foregrip or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you start mixing in like law enforcement, military who use their guns for different purposes, or tech guys who use their guns for different purposes, but they do want to come out and compete, then yeah, you do have those things in there. And it can kind of be a pain in the butt, because you realize like, okay, well my flashlight may not work in this one specific instance, but does that mean you rip it off and throw it out? Or does that mean you just continue, but you know that if I ever have to shoot through a VTAC wall, then I need to take other precautions?
Well, and and I think I don't know how many times police and military get into the situations where they're trying to shoot through some kind of small hole or port like that.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully, if that's something that they really run into, then they can sort of use that as kind of a learning experience to how they might need to, may need to tweak gear a little bit, or just how it's set up or something,
Yeah. I mean, it's all like tools for the toolbox, right? So like you have that one extra experience, and so now you can, apply it to other things that may come up.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. There's a match down in Colorado in Pueblo. I won't bore you by searching it, but it's like Hoser's carbine match, and typically it has like a lot of great representation, like a monthly match, as far as not representation, participation. And sorry, I've been watching a lot of stuff about the Marvel MCU, so representation stuck in my head. But so they have a lot of participation. And it looks like a really fun match from the videos I've seen. The guy, Hoser, that puts it on is a really accomplished rifle shooter. He's been doing it for a bunch of years. But I've always just lived really far away from it. Like right now, it would be like 5-6 hours to go do it for a monthly match. But someday I'm going to have to bite the bullet and go do it, because carbine matches are just fun, man.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. It was nice to, especially for us, it's a nice change to have just one gun to mess with.
Yeah, you feel lighter like when you're going to a match. Like, God, do I have everything?
Yeah, I was carrying 2 rifles and all of my mags around, and I was like, man, this is great.
Yeah, when you can have like everything you need for a match on your body, like that's kind of nice, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So all right, so we've got some short stages, we've got some mid stages, and then long stage. Let's see, stage 3, was that like a jungle run sort of thing? That was
stage 3.
Longest
stage 3
time
was stage 3 was the stage with the spinner.
Oh, okay.
Through the barricade. So
obviously that takes much longer.
Yeah, that was one of those where you were just, there wasn't. I think Justin did that one, and I want to say like 50 something. I think like 59. So he did it a little bit faster. I did have some pickups and things on the spinner that took me a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the light was playing with it, so I believe I shot one of the times I shot it, I actually slowed it down.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's always a good thing. So the spinner. So anytime anyone comes up on a spinner, like their first match, it's always throws them for a loop. It's like a Texas Star, right? I remember first time seeing a Texas Star and just like, crap, we have to shoot that with a pistol,
right?
And now it doesn't even seem like a big deal. But if if someone's listening, they've never shot a spinner before. The idea is like it has a pivot in the middle, and you shoot the top, you shoot the bottom, and then you have to turn it over. So do you have any kind of advice for newbies on spinners, or something you would tell someone if they asked you on the range what your advice would be to attack the target?
Well, the first thing I would tell everybody is stop trying to put 2 or 3 shots on one plate as it's going past, because while it can work, it usually doesn't. Because you end up just missing 2 or 3 shots at it instead of putting one good solid hit on it.
Especially if you're new.
Yeah, for sure. I take one shot at each side. I don't try to double tap them. The only time I try to double tap a star is if it's a very close shotgun star.
Yeah,
that's the only time I'll do it.
Star or spinner?
Spinner.
Yeah, you said star.
Spinner.
Yeah.
Spinner. Sorry.
So do you typically start with the small plate on top or the big plate on the bottom?
Yeah, I'll throw one at the small plate on top, and then so kind of get it start rocking. And as that bottom one goes back, I'll shoot at it. I do go top bottom, as it's coming back around. Usually, I also use 75 grain rounds when I'm shooting the spinners.
Why do you do that?
Heavier bullets, more energy, less shots. Because you can very clearly, even like 55 grainers, and then the guys that were shooting like 40 grain 5.45.
Oh yeah,
it's very, very clear that they're using light bullets and the energy is just not transferring. So 75 grain, I use my heavier bullets on spinners. Usually it's top, bottom, and a lot of times I can get it in about 4 shots, maybe 5 total. And again, if I shoot it and it slows down because I was, confused on the rotation with the light transfer or something, then, get a couple more in there. I want to say I maybe took, I have to look back at the video, but I think I maybe took like six actual hits to rotate that spinner this time.
Got it. Yeah. When I shoot a spinner, I guess like the advice I would give someone is like make it super stable position, as stable as you possibly can.
Yes.
And depending on the distance, this is what I've noticed. The farther out the spinner, the more stability in a position the match director will give you. But if it's a little bit closer, then they're going to try to mess with you by making you shoot off of a 2x4 or a barricade or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you use reference points behind the spinner if they're available, or how do you do that?
So I end up doing is trailing, or I guess chasing, or if you can get a reference point, do that. But I find that I usually don't have time for that in my brain anyway to get a reference point. So I'm just following the stem. So as it's coming up, I'll I'll be chasing the stem, and once the plate is where I want it, I'm just doing a follow through. Like if I were shooting a clay target on a shotgun or something, I'll just follow it up, shoot it, follow through, and then come back down to the bottom doing the same thing. Follow the stem of the target down until the plate it presents where I want it. Break my shot and follow through.
Gotcha. Okay.
Trying to minimize the movement, of course, but
yeah. Another thing that I see new people doing that I would advise against is once they've hit one side of the target, they'll try to hit it again, like to push it more. But typically you're using the momentum of the spinner and you're just encouraging it. It's like, smacking something as it's flying by rather than, pushing it like you're pushing a door open, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about like if it'll stall out at the top and they try to push it over.
Well, let's see if I can do this on camera. So if you're listening, maybe you want to go to YouTube. But if say this is the top of the target, and if you shoot it, right? So shoot it and it moves like this a little bit, they'll try to shoot it again right here, but now it's already wanting to come back the other way.
Right.
And so, like you said, it'll stall out. But and I've done this too. So, don't feel bad if this is your method, just change your ways. Yeah. But they'll think like, okay, well, I hit it there, I'm going to hit it again, and I'm going to see the same amount of movement. But now you have the force of the lever and the other plate fighting against you. Right.
Yeah, definitely shoot it while it's moving, and don't wait for it to be perfectly flat facing you to shoot it. Get it. Let's see where I'm going here.
I'll give you the whole screen. There you go.
As it's coming past, you want to shoot it. God damn it. Shoot it when it's still angled away from you slightly, going away. Shoot it about here and get that momentum going. A lot of people are waiting until it's here to shoot, and they'll either hit it here, which is
right. So you're using your whole hand as like the entire spinner, right? Not your wrist. Okay.
This is the plate.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, this is just the plate. So it's swinging. The hinge is at the top here.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay, cool.
This is the bottom plate. So shoot it here as the momentum is going back, not waiting for it. And a lot of people are pulling the trigger here, but it's hitting the plate when the plate is already facing away.
Right. So they're pulling the trigger when it's vertical, and it shouldn't be vertical. It should be like facing toward you a little bit.
Yeah. So, because people are shooting it here and it's glancing off, and that energy doesn't carry through as much either.
Yeah. Yeah. And then again, you're fighting the other plate and gravity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so that's a really good piece of advice there. You also have to take like, if it's farther away, you got to take bullet travel time into account. And so farther away that it is, more your shots count, but in my opinion, but then you have to shoot it earlier the farther away it is as well, because you got to give the bullet time to travel from your gun to the spinner.
Yeah, even though it seems like it's instantaneous, but it's definitely not, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, 2,900 feet per second still takes a minute when stuff's really far away. So
yeah, and this was probably about an 80 to 90 yard spinner.
Okay. Yeah.
So it wasn't close.
No. And that, so I can't remember what the one was at Memorial 3 Gun. We had this position out of a pickup truck, and it was a pretty comfortable position, which was nice. And then there was other targets back there, and then we finished on a spinner. I want to say that was like 75 or 80 yards. I'm not sure. I'd have to ask someone else, but it was one of those things where it's like, oh, thank goodness this thing is fairly close. And and that one had like a pretty decent berm backstop kind of thing. And when we shoot stuff in at matches in Colorado, they got to, or like the spinners, they got to be up against a berm if it's rifle or pistol.
Yeah.
But in Texas, like I've noticed that they'll put spinners out in the middle of nowhere, and so there's no reference point behind it for like seeing where that plate's going to be. So your approach method, I think, is pretty good. Probably something you need to practice.
Yeah. And even though this wasn't a bay and the spinner was against the berm, Well, guess what? The ranch berms are covered in thick grass,
Oh yeah.
bushes and weeds, so you can't see
Not a
the
whole lot of
dirt, so
feedback.
you had no reference. And speaking of that, so one of the funny things that sort of happened on our squad, so Kalash Bash, they were using these little round Firebird exploding target things. So Mike Whitesides was shooting one of the stages and had 2 steel up against the berm, or hanging, actually staked into kind of the berm. And he shot one, and all of a sudden on the ground, one of those things blew up. I guess it was a leftover.
A little leftover
hiding in the grass, and it blew up, and these like green sparks and smoke went everywhere. And so we thought somebody was messing with him, and I was like, that's kind of messed up on the clock. But he didn't even miss a beat and just kept on going. He got done. He was like, did y'all see that? It's like, yeah, what the hell?
It's such a Whitesides thing. It just keeps going. Right. Yeah, those little Firebird targets are kind of fun. We had a bunch of those at an event I went to a couple years ago, and yeah, they're pretty cool. Just a small explosion, nothing to like destroy anything, but pretty cool little feedback.
Yeah, I hadn't seen one in person yet. I was like, oh man, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Add to cart.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I need a pile of them.
Yep.
I want to get a handful and toss them in the air and shoot them with a shotgun, like you would do with clays.
Yeah. So that's where my my brain pause was there. I was like, do those work with shotgun? And I honestly don't know, because I've only ever shot them with rifle. So,
well, I will find out.
You let me know.
Somebody has a bag of leftovers. I'm going to go raid them.
Nice. They look like they fit in the center of a clay, like a clay target. So
just what I was thinking.
Oh, so I would expect that they work for that. I don't know.
I even still have I have some of those flash clay targets we were using that have the powder in them.
Oh yeah.
Supposed to like blow up and powder when you. So I might stick some to those and try it.
There you go. Get a video.
Get a little powdery explosion.
Yeah. All right. Well, so Sons of Liberty Gunworks carbine match. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I dig it. It's a fun match. I joke about, I'm shooting at that range so much that it's starting to feel a little repetitive, but because they're doing what they can with the property they've got, and they did come into a couple of new areas this year. So, they're trying to find new things, new ways of doing stuff to keep it changing.
Yeah.
But there's only so much you can do with a certain amount of property, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I feel like, so I've been to the ranch a couple times, and I feel like they definitely do a really good job with what they have. Yeah. And to me, they have like a ton of property. But then if you're running that number of matches on that cadence, then you'd kind of like more. Like Triple C just seemed like there was unlimited amount of places and targets and features that we could shoot at,
Yeah.
So when you're coming from that,
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say when you're coming from that, like everything else seems pretty small.
Yeah, it's unfair, really.
Yeah.
But the ranch is a great facility. It's a beautiful place. I mean, it's conveniently located. It's got hotels and restaurants nearby, and the staff there, Matt Shockey and all the other guys there, they do a great job putting stuff on. The place is really awesome.
Yeah, the staff at the range is always cool. I like going there.
Yeah, if I didn't have property to shoot on down here, I would certainly have a membership there.
Yeah, dude. Okay, off topic, kind of, but I saw several people say that the tacos in Eagle Lake are to die for. Where are they talking about? Is there anywhere special or?
Actually, I do not know. Because I don't usually stay or eat in Eagle Lake.
That's part of my match recon is figuring out where the tacos are.
I'll find them next time. So I usually stay there in Columbus because it's, well, either I stay at a hotel there or I've got, family there in town that I can stay at their place, but it's 15 to 20 minutes from the range, and several good eating spots, and then, and plenty of hotels right there, and they're not usually terribly expensive. Plus, there's an H-E-B in town if you need groceries, and with a Walmart right next to it. So, like, you kind of got everything you need.
Gotcha. All right, so switching gears again. So, Jay, what, 2 weeks ago, you shot you RO'd at TAC Games.
Yes, Tactical Games Nationals.
How was that? What was that experience like?
Rough.
Was it even tough as staff? Like it's a marathon, right?
Yeah. So I was kind of teamed up on stage with Jeremy Moore and some other RO staff help that were more of the TAC Games crowd help. So there was 3 days. So 2 of the days we ran 2-gun stages, and another day we ran one of their aggregates where we actually set up mirrored aggregate stages so that we could have them split so people could go to either one and not get it backed up.
What's an aggregate for people who may not know?
So when they're calling aggregate is like a standard stage. So this one
like a shooting stage?
Or like a classifier.
Okay.
It's a classifier is what it essentially is.
Okay. That's cool.
Like this one had 2 boxes and 3 targets. Like start in a box with your rifle, shoot 1 headshot on each, move to the other box, reload on the way, 1 headshot on each in reverse order, and then do the same thing the other way with your pistol, all in the same string,
Oh, okay. So you got 2 guns in the same string?
Right. So you shoot your rifle across, and then you shoot from one box, shoot your rifle targets that way. Then you go to the other box, shoot your rifle targets that way. In that box, shoot your pistol targets one way, and then go to the other box, shoot the pistol targets the other way.
Okay, got it.
So it's 12 total shots. A little bit of movement, reloads required. And then the other 2 stages were 2-gun stages. One was in a van. You had some rifle plates to shoot back at about 150, 200-ish. Then get out, shoot some pistol paper on the way to the end, and then some steel. And then the other 2-gun stage was a bay stage, 3-gun nation stage actually, where shoot some rifle targets from the back, then grab your pistol and move up, shoot a bunch of steel and stuff on the way to the end of the stage there.
I said it was a 3-gun nation stage?
Yeah, it was like designed after a 3-gun nation stage from back in the day.
Oh, no kidding.
but used as a 2-gun stage.
Interesting.
Yep. So those were fun. What I was saying, it was kind of rough was, the 2-gun stages, we essentially had shooters constantly from start to stop all day long.
Right.
Because they're doing those as sort of floating type stages. The 2-gun stages, I think they actually had assigned times for them after all, but there was just nonstop. Like there was pretty much no break. I was running the timer one day, and the other one I was making ready the next shooter while that shooter was standing by. I was running down range, literally running down range, helping reset the star and the activate and the swingers that we had, and then run back up range, send them over, and do it all over again all day long.
Well, plus your partner is Jeremy Moore, and he's an animal, right. So you can't look like a pussy when he's around.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not walking over to Jeremy and being like, "Oh, my feet hurt." Because he'll just go, "Yeah,
toughen up."
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
And I couldn't let the TAC Games crowd see me, hurting or anything either.
Right. Just save for when you get home.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I just spent the next week not walking. That's all. No big deal.
Yeah. So the videos that I saw, it looked pretty awesome. They got a good thing going over there. The reason I bring it up is the what was it, the Monday after, the Tuesday after, or something like that. They made an announcement that red dot pistols are now allowed in all divisions in TAC Games except for Elite Division, which I can't remember if it was the same day or the previous day, but came on the heels of USPSA publishing their participation numbers, where carry optics is like the dominant division in USPSA, like by a freaking long shot. And we talked about that in a previous podcast here. But what's your opinion on that? Did anyone talk about it at the TAC Games? What was the feel?
Nobody's really talking about it there at the time. It's it kind of fits though, right? I mean, the way everything's moved, there'd been all kind of discussion about red dots being allowed in TAC Games for actually the last couple of years.
Sorry to interrupt, but I remember them talking about that the very first match that I went and observed at, which was it was when I had Tim, the founder, on.
Yep.
Gosh, I can't remember, but that was a match that Jeremy Moore had shot. But the discussion was happening even then, like the first year that the tactical games was around.
Right, and they all the people were kind of, the people wanted it, but then people didn't, and as usual, when you have a bunch of people hollering that they want something, you give it to them, and then several people would use that as a reason why they weren't participating, and then you give it to them, and then it didn't show up anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
everybody's got a reason.
Yeah, and so they did intermediate optics for a minute, and I mean, the participation numbers on that were pretty low, I believe. But and there's valid concerns from people about vision and being able to see sights and all that kind of stuff, and everybody thinks this magical red dot going on your pistol is going to just make everybody a GM overnight. Being someone who's done that, it definitely doesn't. I mean, that's only one part of a 10-part solution to shooting your pistol anyway.
Yeah.
Whether it's sight alignment or putting the dot on the target, it's definitely not as easy as people think.
Yeah, I had when I first proposed that we should put red dots on pistols in tactical in 3-gun, or excuse me, tac ops in 3-gun, I had several people reach out to me that I respect, saying like, oh, you think you're going to be a better shooter because you put a red dot on there? And my whole thing is like, man, if you don't listen to the podcast or if you don't watch the videos, like maybe don't just make a snap judgment on the title. And that's not at all what I was saying. And I don't think, having shot pistols with red dots, like there's definitely a learning curve for me going from iron sights to a dotted pistol. And so I don't think it's like an immediate cure-all or anything, but I do think it's just the future of pistol shooting from, excuse me, like that's what the market is going to, like you pop open Instagram and count the number of iron sights you see. And whether we like it or not, like social media is reality right now. And, when you see police officers with dots on their pistols, that's an indicator as well, because those types of institutions are not really quick to change, so there must be something there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you and AMAX were talking about it, and just about every pistol that's available on the market comes optics cut, right? Mm-hmm. It's and the other, the tactical optics division kind of spells it out right in the name, doesn't it?
Yeah, and this is going way back to last year's podcast that I did on it, and unfortunately the number of the podcast escapes me, but just go back and look last year for gear recommendations, changes of gear recommendations, if you're interested in hearing the whole podcast. But like 3-gun used to be like the leading edge of technology, and then I think like a lot of matches got real angry at technology and specifically did things not to progress them. So when I went to like the NRL Hunter match, I saw a bunch of technology that I had no idea existed, because in the long range game, they're just like moving really fast and creating things where it's like 3-gun has been stagnant for a long time. And so I don't want to see, 3-gun or practical shooting in general become stagnant enough to where, we're stodgy in our old ways and unwilling to change and not moving with the times of what the marketplace, wants, needs, and what the current state of the art in training or methodology wants and needs. So that was a big motivator for me in changing my mind on red dots on pistols. Yeah.
And the other argument people are having, so you carry a gun with a dot, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many people that carry guns with dots?
Well, of all the gun guys I know, most of them. Of all the people I would say like vast majority. Excuse me. I'm going to start counting now, and I'll let you know this time next year. Let's write it on the calendar. But
well, at this point, you don't have enough digits or not enough appendages to even get to how many people you know.
Well, I was just trying to think, like, is it 80%? Is it 90%? But I think of like, again, like the gun guys that I know. I feel like it's people that let's take that back. People that I know that carry on a regular basis. It's got to be in the 80s, the mid 80s percentage.
Yeah.
But the people that I know that like have a gun, they, were shown at the store how to load it, and they've shot it twice at an indoor range. Those people typically don't have dots unless they're a like gear enthusiast coming from like Modern Warfare or whatever the current video game is. So that's what I'd say there is like the people that know have dots.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it definitely does help. And the technology is there. The technology is to the point now where, you don't have to worry about gear failing or the dot going out, and the battery life on them is so long that, you rarely need to worry about that. Mm-hmm. And I know the biggest argument I've seen is always the additional cost argument, right?
Yeah.
So, everybody, one of the comments I saw on the Tech Games post was, "Oh, I just bought this high dollar pistol, and now you're telling me I got to buy another one?" And like, I mean, no. You can. Most of those pistols, even still, whether you ordered them that way or not, are coming with some kind of optics plate module rear sight thing, that you can swap out easily.
Yeah, that type of thinking, I think, is I don't know if it's like unique to this sport, but people spend a shitload of money on their hobbies, So I got a buddy that's a golfer, and he's always talking about new clubs, new grips, and I don't think that the balls change that much, and I don't think the grass changes that much, and like he goes the same course every weekend, but he's always got new gear. So I feel like USPSA, 3-gun, tactical games, it's a hobby. So if that's where you choose to spend your entertainment dollars, then typically, especially Americans, spend a lot of money on their hobbies. So one of the best arguments I heard from that, this might have been James, because he's always got like a really good, one sentence quip that puts things into perspective. But and again, don't want to misattribute, but I think that's who it was. But the person said, like, the people bitching about adding a red dot to their pistol are the same ones that build an AR-15 every year for the same 3-gun matches that they always shoot. I thought, like, that's a really good point.
That is for sure. Or somebody that, spent $6,000 on a pistol doesn't want to cut it up, but, doesn't want to spend $200 to have the slide milled, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there are easier ways to do it, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, you can spend a couple $100 to have your slide milled, or you can get one of these fancy little doodads here.
Got a visual aid? What is that?
So these are optics plates. These are made by Tony Systems specifically, and available at christiansencomponents.com, of course. So those, all you do is, this is my Glock 17 slide. So you just pop out your rear sight. This little plate just drifts right in place. A couple set screws lock it down, and then just mount your favorite optic to it.
Huh.
So this is for my carry gun. I carry this every day. Vortex Venom. It's a auto bright dot. And so anyway, if you don't want to mill your slide, spend $90 on a plate, and they fit all the popular optics.
Those are only $90.
Only $90. Very easy to install. Got them available for 2011 model pistols, Glocks, SIGs, all the popular pistols everybody's using. I got a plate for it.
Yeah, I feel like that's a really good option if you don't want to, cut it into the slide.
Mm-hmm.
And I admit, like, so I have a sweet STI DVC3 gun, and I look at that thing and I think, like, God, I do not want to send that out for someone to hack a red dot in there. It's like, maybe I should just get a different pistol, because, like, it just seems complete. I don't know. I'm kind of weird about changing stuff like that, but yeah, I guess that would be a good option, is to just get something that would drift in there.
Yeah, I'll just send you a plate.
There you go.
Problem solved.
Hey, speaking of new pistols, this is the last topic I want to talk about, and then I'll let you get going here. But you just bought a new pistol, and I made you not tell me what it was so we could talk about it on the show. What did you end up getting?
Yeah, so I was looking at some options. I had a pistol that I was selling. It ended up selling, and I came across a deal that I just couldn't pass up. So I ended up placing an order for a Masterpiece Arms DS9 pistol.
Okay.
Since I'm getting the open model pistol with some add-ons, so I'll be able to run basically 3 guns in one. They were awesome in dealing with me and coming up with something that could work for everybody.
Did you call them up?
Yeah, I gave him a call and had a chat with him to see what the options were. Again, the deal was too good to pass up. I mean, it was awesome. So
yeah,
it's gonna be really cool.
I was looking at these the other day, and you sent me a link here.
Yeah, I sent you a link there if you want to.
Yeah, I'll pop that up.
And
yeah,
this is the color combo I decided to go with. They have
Nice.
some really cool options over there. Their DS hybrid slide they use. It's
oh man, that's the black and gold. That's what you went with?
Yeah, that's what I went with. But it's going to be a black and gold open gun.
Dirty.
So with that option, they have the rear sight module where you can run iron on it. You can pull it off, stick an optic plate on it.
So
and then,
Masterpiece Arms was CK Arms, right?
Masterpiece has always been Masterpiece Arms, but
I'm sorry, these pistols.
Business.
Yeah,
they bought the 2011 business from CK Arms.
Yeah, I've always liked their pistols. I think they're pretty cool. I haven't got the opportunity to shoot one yet, but they look fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, and again, they, I keep going back to the deal. I just couldn't pass it. I'll tell you the deal off camera.
Okay.
But I was looking at the Hayes Cobra model they have that's out now.
Yeah, that looks cool too.
It is super nice, very slick, very nice, kind of classic 1911 look to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was going to do until this offer was presented, and I, again, just couldn't pass it up.
So, you said it's going to be an open pistol, or and it comes with some stuff. So is it going to be like configurable? You were talking about, when we were talking about it a few weeks ago, you were talking about getting different barrels and different comps. And so what's the final thing going to look like?
Yeah, it's essentially, so it'll, sorry, hang on, sending you another link. So it's going to be the DS9 open is what it's going to be.
Okay.
Then it's going to have an additional top end, which is basically the top end from the DS9 hybrid, is the black and gold one you were just looking at.
Okay.
So it'll look like that.
But it'll be black and gold.
Except black and gold color scheme. And then it'll have the top end from a hybrid as well.
Got it. So you'll be able to shoot tac ops and open?
I'll be able to shoot everything.
Everything?
Open major, open minor, slide ride open.
Oh, slide ride too.
Yeah, I'll have slide ride, irons. I can shoot it all.
How do they do that? Do they cut the open slide for?
No,
they cut
I'll have two top ends.
Okay.
So that would be my additional top end right there that you're looking at.
Am I not seeing that there's a dot cut on this?
Yeah, you're not, because it's a rear module.
Oh, okay.
So that module comes off.
Oh, I see now.
Yeah. So
wow, that's really hard to tell.
Yeah, it is.
Interesting.
So there's a cut there. You take that rear plate off, which houses the iron sight, and then you put on your optics plate.
Dude, that's pretty awesome.
And the optics plates will have an integral rear sight, so that so you will have basically a lower co-witness backup irons with your optic mounted on the gun.
New carry gun? Huh?
Maybe I have a carry holster for that.
That's pretty cool, dude. So yeah, you'll be able to shoot tack, open, modified, whatever, dot tack,
Everything.
Good for you, man.
And additionally, if I want to in the future, I can also do a threaded barrel for like a single port comp when I'm running slide ride.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Which now a single port comp slide ride miner gun would work for tactical games.
Oh, you can have comps?
Yeah, you're allowed comps on the pistol, but not the rifle.
Interesting. Yeah. So I know that in the past that you've shot like frame mounted dots on your open pistols. Have you shot slide mounted dots as well?
Oh, yeah.
Open?
Yeah. The last pistol I had that I just sold was a 6-inch Hayes with a slide ride dot. That's what I shot. That's what I shot at Vortex Shootout. I can't remember.
Which do you like better?
So I like frame mount because I also like to run 9 major, even for like 3-gun. I typically prefer a snappier round in my guns because I want that gun to cycle and get back locked up and on target faster.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas some of the slower kind of like these super sub minor 3-gun loads that people like to use, the chubbies and all that kind of stuff, I don't like that stuff because it feels in my hand, it feels too slow.
Yeah.
That I'm waiting on the pistol to finish doing its thing and settle before I can fire the next round.
Good to know.
Plus, I don't like the dot moving.
Yeah, so I've always thought about that, you know, and I guess I don't have a ton of time on like a frame mounted dot, but I guess most of this stuff that I've done is with slide mounted dots, but I was messing around with Forrest, and going back and forth is kind of hard to figure out. You do need to get some time on it, but it was definitely a completely different feeling, or completely different experience.
Yeah, and you know, for most of our 3-gun matches that we're shooting these days, where they're all terrain and jungle run type stuff, it doesn't make nearly as much difference. But when you start getting into bay matches or bay stages where there's like super fast hoser stuff, frame mount 9 major all day.
Interesting. All right.
Or 38 super comp, whatever, but frame mount for sure.
So new pistol. Good for you.
Yep. Hopefully it'll be here. Hopefully it'll be ready before next season.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like staring at the site now. This is compelling audio. All right. Well, Jay, we'll enter there, man. Appreciate you being on the show. If you got something you want to tell the audience before we go, one last thought or piece of advice, what you got?
Yeah, just go out, shoot matches, have fun. Don't take it too seriously, and check out Christiansen Components for your dovetail red dot plate needs.
There you go. Good plug. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. It is Thanksgiving week, and I'm thankful for the Tactical Games Training Speed and Agility program. Designed specifically for practical shooting sports like 3-gun, 2-gun, and USPSA, everything we talk about here on the podcast. Every day there's a new workout in the TTG training app. Just show up and get to work. Check out the link in the show notes and increase your speed and agility for 2023. The 3-Gun Show is proud to be a part of the Firearms Radio Network. If you like this type of content, help us grow the show and the shooting sports by sharing with a friend. Just open the podcast app you're using right now and hit that share button. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the range. Oh, last thing before we go.
Oh.
-4 degrees right now here in Wyoming.
It's actually like 40 here. Something like that. We're actually cold around here this week.
You heard me say
put my jacket on the other day.
You heard me say -4, right?
I heard you say -4. But it's different because it's dry, right?
Oh yeah.
That's always but it's a dry cold.